Cada día sale el sol, nuevas esperanzas son. Dios habla a tu corazón, sanándote, alimentando tu vida con bálsamo de vida, con bálsamo de vida, bálsamo de vida.
Bálsamo de vida con Rosmery y Reid.
May God bless you today. The title of this reflection is What God Allows versus What God Gives Us. Many times in life we acquire material, emotional, and even spiritual things, and we can get confused thinking that they come from God when He is only allowing them for a reason. It's important that we're careful when we long for things and we don't speak to God, especially when we don't wait for His approval. You may want to buy a property, a house, or a vehicle, but if what your heart desires is not aligned with God's purpose, and instead of waiting for Him to act, you get into a debt that He didn't send you, the consequences can be serious. As I thought about the topic of today's reflection, it led me to remember the story of Adam and Eve in the garden. But before we get into that story, let me remind you that God is all-powerful, and that means He can do all things. However, there is something that He put in you and me, which is a gift of choice and decision making, in which He does not intervene. The book of Revelation explains it clearly when God Himself says through John in chapter 3, verse 20, "Look, I stand at the door and knock. If you hear my voice and open the door, I will come in, and we will share a meal together as friends." In the garden, God gave Adam specific instructions saying, "You may freely eat of the fruit of every tree in the garden, except the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If you eat its fruits, you are sure to die." And as we know the story, the serpent encouraged Eve to eat from the tree, and Eve disobeyed God by eating from the tree and also giving it to her husband. And the consequences of that, they were banished from the garden. This here shows us that all disobedience carries with it consequences, which we must avoid. God commands us to have sharp ears, to listen to His voice, obey His commandments, be patient before the things we long for, not to rush ahead of our purposes, but rather to wait for God's answer. I can testify today that God speaks, God directs, and God gives signs. When things come from Him, there is no doubt that He was the one who did it, just as when they are not from Him, the evidence is clear. The word also says that the blessing of the Lord adds no sadness to God's plans. He is the one who sponsors them. He is the one who commands from the north, the south, the east, and the west. Our responsibility is to pray and wait on Him. That is what He commands us to do. So I want to encourage you today to pray to God and make sure that we are honest with ourselves, that we can understand it's best to pray and wait on Him, and that we can know the difference when God is allowing something or when He is giving us something. This is your sister Vanessa Ortiz, and may God bless you.
Gracias por estar ahí, escuchando Bálsamo de Vida. Si estas palabras han edificado tu vida, escríbenos a balsamodevidareflexiones@gmail.com y síguenos en nuestras redes sociales. Reflexiones Bálsamo de Vida. Que su gracia te cubra en este día.